house in the Bronx in Soundview, but I also give these fire safety presentations. I enjoy giving them. I think they work, and I think the best presentations to give are the ones right here in the building, because we can talk very specifically about this building. So it's a good venue for fire safety, and I thank you all for coming out. While we're more than ready the fire department's ready to go out and put out a fire when it happens, the easiest way for us to put it out is to prevent it from happening in the first place, right? That makes sense. So that's part of what we're doing here. My presentation will have three parts. We're going to talk about prevention, we're going to talk about detection, and there's some new laws that just came out, and then we're going to talk about having a plan, and we'll talk specifically about what to do in this building, and you can talk about what floor you're on and the staircase. I know there's some different staircases, some are open, some are closed, and we'll talk about what to do in case of a fire. Okay, so prevention, first part. Probably one of our most common calls that we go on is the food on the stove, and usually just means someone ruined their dinner. But a lot of times that food on the stove fire could become a whole apartment fire, especially when we leave the apartment when we're cooking. It's very easy to happen, right? I see someone came down with a cup of tea, right? You put the tea kettle on, you get distracted, you leave the house. So the best way to avoid these types of fires is to remember not to forget, which sounds silly, right? How could I remember not to forget? I wouldn't have forgot if I remembered. But the way you remember not to forget is to have a routine. Just like in the morning you do 3 or 4 things without even thinking about it, try to get into a routine when it comes to cooking, and the routine should include every time you go to turn on the stove, stop, set a timer, which is easy now. Everyone has some type of iPhone or something, right? Set the timer right here. The tea kettle's going to go off in 10 minutes. Just set it for 10 minutes. Now you have it on you. Even if you leave the apartment, it'll go off. Obviously, if you're in the apartment, set the timer. Even an egg timer is good. Bring it with you into the living room, the bedroom, whatever it may be. If you doze off, you have the timer there. The other thing you should always do when you go to cook, put something on you to remind you you're in cooking mode. Maybe you grab an oven mitt, throw it into your belt, okay? Put an apron on, right? It'll keep your shirt clean. And it's a constant reminder that you're in the middle of cooking. Now you go to leave the apartment, you make it a block or two. You look down and say, oh, that's right. I put the pasta on, the rice on, or I have something in the oven. These little things you can do will avoid one of the most common types of fires we have. And like I said, usually it just means you burnt your dinner, but a lot of times it causes that apartment fire, and it causes a lot of burn injuries, especially if you do have a kitchen fire and you panic. A lot of times it's a kitchen fire, it's on top of the stove top, so pretend we're at the stove top right now, okay? We're frying whatever, chicken cutlets, bacon, whatever it may be. You get distracted, you turn around, you have a grease fire. People may panic and want to take it off the stove. But now what? Now you hold it, right? Put it on the table, or even worse, you put it in the sink and you open up the tap. Putting water on a grease fire, it's like throwing gasoline on it. Oil and water don't mix. You add water into this burning grease, it'll cause like a steam explosion, and the oil is repelling away from the water, so it looks like you're making an explosion. The grease will splatter all over the cabinets and all over you. Think about it. There's fire on top of the stove all the time. There's 4 burners. There's always flames there. That's where you want the fire to be. So leave it there. Touch it as little as possible. What you can do is turn down, instead of the volume, pretend that's the gas. Turn down the heat if you can. Turn off the burner. Grab a lid. Boom. And let it burn itself out. But touch it as little as possible. Same thing for things inside the oven. A lot of times we use the oven for storage, the extra big Tupperware things, and we go to preheat the oven and we forget. Anything burning in the oven, again, there's heat and fire inside that oven all the time. Leave it in there. Don't you open up that door and put your eyes, your lungs, your hands at risk trying to pull something out that's on fire. Only to do what with it? Throw it out the window, put it on the table, I don't know. You're going to make it worse. Leave it in there, turn up the heat source, let it burn itself out. Any doubt whatsoever that you think fire is behind the oven or underneath the oven, call 911. Don't you try to pull a burning hot stove out to investigate. Okay? Touch it as little as possible. That's the key. You'll avoid a lot of burn injuries, and you'll actually keep the fire inside where it should be, inside that insulated stove or on top of that stove. All right? That's kitchen fires. Baking soda, by the way, I always bring this. this is the same chemical that's in the white fire extinguishers made for kitchen top, sodium bicarbonate. 100% the same ingredient. So think of this as a pocket fire extinguisher. Same type thing, grease fire, okay? Slide off there. Don't throw the box in. Open it up, come in a little bit low, douse it in. This helps absorb the oil and it almost makes like a crust. And the sodium bicarbonate pulls away a little bit of the oxygen. So it's really good at putting out grease fires. It's what's in the extinguisher to begin with. So think of this as a pocket fire extinguisher. So, you know, next time you're frying, maybe get the lid ready, get the baking soda ready, and think of these as your tools, right? Like Captain America, right? Yes. Salt, it's just displacing it. Salt, rice, all that stuff. It's basically just making a big lid, but a lot of times you add too much and it could make it pour out. But baking soda works a lot better than salt. I know people use salt in dried rice and all kinds of stuff like that, flour. Basically, you're covering it. This is the best thing, okay? So that's kitchen fires. Next is electrical fires. How many times do we watch TV? We're watching the news, there's a horrible fire, and the newscaster says the cause of the fire was electrical. Kind of vague. So what does that mean exactly? Electrical. The electrician 30, 40, 50 years ago did a horrible job? Or did someone overload the outlet? I wish they would differentiate and say, looks like an overloaded outlet, an overloaded power strip. Once in a while, I've heard in the past couple of years that the cause of the fire was an overloaded power strip. Okay, this is an older building. You have enough outlets in the building? Yeah, you're pretty good in your apartments? So you could always use more, right? The new code, I think this has to be an outlet on every wall. So if you have 2 outlets, you think you're doing good, the new code is better new construction. That's what I mean by new code. So we rely on these power strips. Anyone have this in the apartment? Something like this? Pretty much everybody? And these are good. These are fine. Okay? But it's very easily, you know, we have easy access to overload this. And a lot of people say, well, this is like a fuse and a brain and a computer in here telling me I'm overloading it. It's an on-off switch. This is $5.99. Okay? It doesn't have that much technology in it. Okay? Basically, it's a glorified on-off switch. There may be times when you say, I overheated it, I overloaded it, and turned off. Sometimes there's a one-shot deal with a fuse, and once you reset it, that's it. They do sell power strips with fuses built in. They cost about $80 to have it with a real fuse, a real circuit breaker. So you get what you pay for. The easiest way to overload this is to put things on it, and this is an easy way to remember, that keep you or something else warm or cold. Excuse me, meaning refrigerators, air conditioners, space heaters, microwaves. Anything that keeps you or something else hot or cold demands a lot of power. Anything with a motor, a big motor, demands a lot of power. Those things should be plugged directly into the wall. No power strips whatsoever. Okay? And I know sometimes you have the AC window, AC, and there's that separate outlet just for the AC, right? Does anybody have that in their apartment? But usually there's only one, right? So what about the second AC? Where does that go? We get creative. Unless you have a second separate outlet for that in the bedroom, a lot of times there's only one. So people get creative. On every air conditioner, I go to the store right now, on the side of the air conditioner, it will say, do not use with extension cords. It's a warning, right? And right next to the air conditioners, what do they sell? Extension cords for air conditioners. So what are you supposed to do? If you must resort to an extension cord for your air conditioner, buy the one they recommend. It's usually a flat gray wire, a very thick flat gray wire, so the wires aren't even on top of each other. And you can only plug in one thing, and it's really not even that long. With electricity, you want shorter is better. Okay? Long extension cords build up a lot of heat, a lot of resistance. And I do this with the kids. The best way to describe how an electric fire happens is it's through resistance. So if you put your hands together, not really tight, just put them together and one like this. That's electricity going through a proper wire. It's getting a little warm, but not hot. Not pressed really tight. Really, really tight. Okay? It gets very, very hot very quickly. That's a lot of electricity trying to force its way through a small wire. It's resistance. That's what you're creating. 2 things cause resistance. A small wire, a small extension cord wire, or a very long wire. So if you're using that 50-foot extension cord to cover 3 feet, you're building up a lot of resistance, that's creating a lot of heat, and you're also losing power. which could damage anything with a motor. You ever say that there's going to be a brownout, we're going to lower the voltage, so please turn your air conditioner off? That's not saying so your neighbor could have AC. That's because you could damage your air conditioner, because it's on a motor and a compressor needs the right amount of voltage. Once they do a brownout, it's straining, and you could damage your AC. That's why they tell you to turn it off, not like, people say, well, why should I turn mine off? Let them turn theirs off, I want to keep mine on. They're warning you because you could damage your air conditioner. So that's my simple way to describe how electrical fires happen. When they do happen, where is this normally located? Is it out in the open with air circulating around it? A lot of times it's slapped tight against the couch, tight against the furniture, the bureau, the desk. And what is the furniture today is not like years ago. Years ago things were made out of wood and cotton. Unless you have antiques in the house, I apologize. But a lot of the new furnishings today are foam, right? The polyurethane foam bed and mattress and couches, plastic coverings, polyurethane this and particle wood. All these things basically are gasoline. All plastics, yes, all plastic is made out of petroleum. Did you know that? All plastics are made out of petroleum. That's why when the price of gasoline and oil go up, the price of everything goes up. So all the furnishings you have in your house that are some type of foam or plastic or synthetic, it's basically like gasoline in your apartment. Fires today burn much hotter and work much faster than years ago. If you want to Google a comparison, just put in new room versus old room fire when you go home. And they did a study, they put 2 rooms on fire, controlled setting, 2 couch fires. One had old-fashioned furnishings, the other newer foam couch, plastic blinds, whatever. The older room, cotton-filled couch, all that stuff, it took about 30 minutes for the couch fire to envelop the whole room and for everything to start burning. The newer furnishings took less than 4 minutes.
Wow.
Okay? And the top temperature with the older room barely reached 1,000 degrees, where 2,000 degrees with the newer furnishings. So, see, I've got you now. This is working, this is working. Now, if I only had something to sell you, that'd be great. So that's the idea. These furnishings today, faster, hotter fire, and the smoke, years ago, firemen, a lot of them didn't even have to wear a mask because it was wood that was burning. You ever smell a wood fireplace? Oh, it's nice, guys. Walk in, oh yeah, we'll put the fire out. Now, even a kitchen fire, the pans aren't even made out of cast iron anymore. They're Teflon, this and that. I know guys, 30 years, iron lungs we call them. The 30-year veteran iron lungs could walk through smoke and not even use a mask. They go to a simple kitchen fire now, and they're coming out, eyes are tearing. It's a lot of toxic, acrid stuff that's burning today. So we have to be careful. One last cause of fire, and then we'll move on to detection, is the candle fire. Here, this is a little too bright. Maybe if I put it over here, you can see it. Well, not really. Anyway, so there's a little flicker to it. What's good about this candle and many other candles like it, it's battery powered, okay? They come in all scents, music, tea light ones, tall ones, short ones. My wife's got them all, believe me, I know. Okay? So this one came with a Barry White CD, so this worked pretty good. It did, really. Okay. Very romantic, very nice. My point is, if you could use, see, he's trying to record me and I'm ruining the shot. All right. If you could convert to using the battery-powered flameless candles instead of real candles, you could be removing the #3 cause of fatal fires in New York City last year. Candle fires. #3 cause. Yes?
Can I just go back to the electrical?
Yeah.
What about like frayed wires, frayed cords?
When in doubt, throw it out.
I mean, how dangerous?
Oh, extremely dangerous.
I mean, is that a common?
Anything that's frayed, and just to get back on electrical now, this is okay, but getting creative, and then just one adapter, right? Just a few more extra things. You start piggybacking, it's no good. But any frayed wire, that means the insulation has been, taken out. And now that heat that we talked about is not contained by the insulation. There's a crack, now the heat can come right out. So anytime you see a cracked wire, a frayed wire, that's a wire that is not insulated. Not so much from you touching it and getting a shock, which you could, but also all that heat now is coming directly out. And if that foam couch is right on top of that frayed wire, We got a heat source and we got a fuel source. So that's what's happening. But yeah, and in the literature I have here, summer fire safety and residential, I think in summer fire safety we do mention, look right there. He was reading ahead, that's what it was. We got a frayed wire. All right? So, and that's just part of our literature, but we'll get into that later. Electrical, be careful. It comes down to common sense. Don't piggyback wires. If you use a wall outlet, a 2 to 6 wall outlet, you can't put a power strip into that. One thing, either the power strip into the wall outlet or one of these adapters into the wall outlet, but you can't put an adapter and then this and then the extension cord, okay? Too much.
But you could put a power strip into one outlet and then a regular lamp into the top.
Yes, okay. And the power strips are fine, you know, then there's power strips and surge protectors. They're all fine. All the electronics, the computers, they don't take a lot of power. They're very sensitive, but they don't take a lot of power. Like I said, it's things like the refrigerators, the air conditioners that put you over the top.
What about fans?
Fans are okay. The only thing is with a portable fan, if you left it on for the weekend, the motor may burn out. We've been to fires where someone put a fan in their attic. Well, the attic is hot. Put a fan in the window. It'll clear it out. But it's been on for a month now. It's the end of July, and you've never turned it off. That motor has now burnt out, and you have an attic fire. So that's the one thing. But fans by themselves, they don't take that much, depending on, you know, the size of the motor. Yeah, the little oscillating one, that should be fine. That should be fine, okay? But don't leave it on for like 5 days straight. Don't leave with it on, you know, because the motor will burn out. Yes, back. Yeah. Well, the computer themselves, the cable box, the computer, right, the laptop that's sitting on your lap, all that has resistance built in it, and you'll have a lot of heat buildup, especially if anything that electronic, like a TV, computer that has vents in it. The reason it has vents in it is because there's heat in there, and it's got to get out. So if you like slid your TV into like the perfect wall unit, and you cover in, like there was vents in the back, and you covered it up perfectly with that mahogany, and it's mint, but now there's no air circulation. All right? Laptops in bed, sitting on top of a pillow, the pillow is blocking off all the air circulation. That's why they sell those like hard surface things for the triangle pillow thing. That's why they have that. You will have heat normally. Sometimes they'll get quite hot. That's why things like that, you need space. Right, as long as there's airflow, that's fine. Okay? But you should have it in a surge protector, your computer, not directly into the wall. Just in case there's a surge, it's not so much to protect the wiring, it's to protect the electricity coming from the wiring damaging your sensitive electronics. Years ago, they didn't need surge protectors, right? There was just lamps and TVs and old radios. Now, with all these sensitive electronics, that's why you need surge protection. Okay? Because it could fry your computer. But all good questions. That's some causes. With the literature, there's a website. We have more literature. We have in about 15 different languages, different topics. Feel free to go on there. I didn't want to give everyone 15 pieces of literature, you know, and it could be a fire hazard itself, right? So 2 is a good start. You have the website. Feel free to browse, all right? Let's get into detection. God forbid there is a fire. You want to know right away, especially after what I just told you about these new furnishings today, as soon as possible, you want to know that there's smoke building up in the apartment or there's a fire. The best way to do that is to have a good working smoke detector. Smoke detector should be placed up high because smoke and heat rise. And just recently they passed a law that all replacement smoke detectors going forward, whether it's an apartment building, condo, co-op, private house, has to have a 10-year sealed battery that cannot be removed. So the next smoke detector that goes into your apartment has to meet that requirement. Okay? No more 9-volt batteries. So no more change your clock, change your battery. If you have it now, that's fine, but in its normal end of life, smoke detectors last 10 years. When you go to replace them, you have to get the smoke detector that has the sealed 10-year battery, and the battery cannot be removed. I have 2 examples here. This is the old detector with a 9-volt battery. Still works good. This is a detector here with a 10-year seal. There's no way to get the battery out unless I get a sledgehammer or crack it over my head, right? Okay, so 10-year sealed battery. Once it's locked into the plate, that's it, it's good. The next thing you'll hear is an end-of-life notification, which is 2 beeps every 30 seconds. That means not low battery, it means I'm done. It's 10 years. I still may have power, even if it's hardwired, right? You'll have a 10-year sealed battery backup. Even the hardwired ones only last 10 years. The sensor is only reliable for 10 years, they say. And after that, it could be too sensitive, it could be not sensitive enough. You know, who knows? They say after 10 years in the apartment, in the house, it's time to get another. How do you know how old your detector is? You take it down, and there's a date, like a born-on date. So this one here says, where is it now? I can't make it out.
Glasses.
Yes. Oh, here it is, September 11th. Oh, September 11th. Look at that. September 11th, 2012. Okay? So this is almost 2 years old. It's got a little over 8 years left. Okay? A little over 8 years left on this detector. After that, you'll start to hear 2 chirps every 30 seconds. If you would hear 1 chirp every 30 seconds, what would that be an indication of? Low battery. Low battery. 1 chirp every 30 seconds means low battery. Some people think that means it's working. Right? I went on a call, the person had chest pains, and we're working on him, we're getting his pulse, and doing the blood pressure, and we're chirp, every 30 seconds, chirp. And I said, you know you have a low battery in that smoke detector. He goes, it's been like that for like 6 months since I moved in. And I'm like, no wonder you're having heart problems. You can't sleep at night, the thing's keeping you up. I said, that's low battery. He says, it's hardwired. I said, yeah, but you still need a battery backup. You still need a battery backup if it's hardwired. So that's 1 chirp. 2 chirps, and then obviously, smoke detector, 4 beeps is smoke. No, I'm sorry, 3 beeps is smoke, 4 quick beeps is carbon monoxide if you have the combo. Okay? Let me just get back to smoke detectors, one more point of information. Smoke detectors now, it's like Baskin-Robbins, 31 flavors. There's all types of smoke detectors out there now. More so, I think in the last 2 years, people graduated college and said, I can't have a job, I'm going to create a smoke detector, right? All different types of detectors. I think even Google bought a company, Nest, that the detector goes off, the CO, it turns the boiler off, and it tells you on your phone, and all this. Yeah, I'm telling you, there's a lot of technology out there. Find out what detector you have in your house. What I like to say is, you don't know if you have if it was a TV, you don't know if you have a 12-inch black and white TV or a 52-inch plasma, 1080p, 1080D, right? Whatever, all that stuff. The research you put into your cell phone, the research you put into the next flat screen TV you're going to buy, the next car you're going to buy. Think about what type of smoke detector you have. Let me give you a little information. There's 2 types of technology, ionization and photoelectric. Ionization is very good at a flaming fire with very little, almost microscopic smoke. Photoelectric is better at the thicker, clumpier smoke, like from a smoldering couch. A lot of smoke, but not a lot of fire. 2 different technologies, 2 different types of smoke. One is not better than the other, they're different. Because a lot of people say, oh, it's ionization versus photoelectric. I get into this whole like smoke detector wars, being fire safety. Our thing is, it's not versus, it's and, it's plus. You want both technologies. So they do sell detectors with photoelectric and ionization technology in the same detector. Okay, this has nothing to do with carbon monoxide there. Okay? Some of them talk to you. Some of them have a strobe light, okay, or a light. Some of them, they even have bedside alarms that listen for the smoke detector. And if you're hard of hearing, there's a thin wire with a hockey puck device. It's called a bed shaker, and it'll shake the bed. Okay, if you're hard of hearing, if you take the hearing aid out at night, you're not going to hear the smoke detector. So there's a lot out there. Do a little research. Okay. Get involved at the next go-around with when they change over smoke detectors. Maybe have a little bit of input. Say, you know, I did a little research. Could we look at maybe the photoelectric combo? Could we look at this type of alarm? Maybe one, it meets the requirement, and usually one detector. Who has 1 detector in the apartment?
We all have detector.
1 or 2? You have 3? 3. She gets a gold star.
For the
Something
building?
that I had just acquired recently.
Okay,
I have an electrical and I have 2 additional.
and you had 2 additional while you were doing the upgrade. Very good. And they're interconnected, when one goes off, all 3 go off?
Recently what we had there.
Okay. They were all going off, yes.
When they do alterations, we require that they have hardwired.
Hardwired with the battery backup.
Yeah, to meet the new code.
Okay, so you hear that? When you do a major renovation, you have to meet the new code, which is 1 in each sleeping area, and they have to be interconnected. So if there's
How are
a,
they interconnected?
through a wire. Although now they do have wireless systems now also. But what he's telling me is, building policy is when you do a major renovation, just like the woman in the back there, she now has 3 detectors hardwired. Okay? Yes?
If we're not doing a renovation, should we still have 1 in each sleeping area?
More is better. Okay? Right now you're meeting the requirement, which, like I said, it's meeting the requirement. You have a smoke detector within 15 feet of each door of each bedroom. That's the old requirement. Okay, so you could have a 3-bedroom apartment, and if the doors are closed, you could have 1 detector in the hallway, and you're meeting the bare minimum requirement, which is fine if you're okay with that. What I'm saying is, this could save your life. Do a little research. 2 is better than 1. 3 is better than 2. 2 technologies are better than the 1 technology. That's while the board or management, I don't know how it's co-op or rental, co-op. So the board makes recommendations. You have to meet. Is someone allowed to buy a second detector and put it in?
Sure.
Yeah, knock yourself out, right?
Yeah, and if you think that when we did change them all that time, we did use that criteria, 15 feet. If you don't think you have that, and you should have another one, contact me,
Right.
all right, and we'll arrange for it.
Right, and just so you know, they are, whether they're a rental or the management company does it, either you pay for it directly or they supply it and they can charge you. Some buildings charge, some people you will charge.
We charge.
And for the new detectors, it used to be like 10 and 25 or something like that, 10 for smoke. Now it's 25 for the smoke detector sealed battery, 50 for the smoke CO combo. That's what they can charge for it installed. Okay, just so you know. Okay, yes.
I have a smoke detector over my front door.
Okay,
All of my neighbors know when I'm broiling lamb chops because
Okay.
it goes off for 5 to 7 minutes.
Yes.
There's no fire.
right.
Which-
Broiling makes that thin microscopic smoke. It's probably an ionization detector, number 1. And when you make the lamb chops, do you put like a vent fan on? No. Okay. Good idea. If you can vent it some way out the window, that's fine. But
I have the
when you
windows
broil lamb chops, fried bacon, stuff like that, it makes just that right type of smoke that the ionization will go off. We recommend if that happens and it's a nuisance, move the alarm further away from the kitchen or go with the photoelectric.
Get a photoelectric.
It's less likely to have false alarms for cooking. Okay? Maybe take that ionization, put it more towards the bedroom, and you'll have the photoelectric closer to the kitchen. Okay?
Thank you.
So, in some states they ban the ionization. They feel it only goes off when people cook, and people take the battery out when they cook, and then it creates a problem. So now with the sealed battery, you can't take the battery out, and we would like,
I probably have the wrong kind of detector for that.
not the wrong kind, because if you burn in dinner, it'll go off quicker maybe than a photoelectric, because photoelectric needs that thicker particles of smoke. It's like a laser beam that gets diverted. So in a way, it could save you from burning dinner, but it also could create a nuisance. Sometimes there's a fine line with detectors, and just the way they were made and how the ions catch the smoke. So, but move it down the line. Maybe open a window when you're broiling. You do. Put the fan on.
I open
and
the door.
you have to stand there with a towel.
I have to fan the door.
That's it. That's it.
And 3 floors and others and cook
All right. So, but that's what's happening. If you're broiling, it's making that microscopic smoke particles that ionization is good at picking up. Okay. Let's go to plan now. The detector goes off, and we'll go back to smoke detector questions. If you think about it, I'm not running out the door, so we'll go back to it. Plan, plan, plan. The kids do 10 fire drills a year. Mandated. They have to do 10 fire drills a year. Kids are very safe. I throw a stat around. I hope it's correct that Board of Education, New York City Board of Education schools have never lost a child due to a fire in the school building. Okay? Why? The buildings are professionally maintained, and they do fire drills. God forbid there is a minor incident. The kids are out in the flash, and they stay together. They know where to go. Where people work, does anyone do fire drills where you work? Yes? Yes? Oh, yes, yes. Now, here's the $64,000. Who does a fire drill at home? And where do you think about 95% of the fire fatalities occur? At work, at school, or at home? At home, when we're sleeping. But no one does a fire drill. Why? Because you don't have to do a fire drill. The school, they have to do it. Where you work, they make you do it. But at home, we don't have to do them, so we don't. But that's the first place you should be doing a fire drill. Now, in this building, your fire drill is kind of boring, which is a good thing in the case of a fire, right? You want a boring fire drill. You are in a fireproof multiple dwelling. If you look at the literature, number 7, with the scary fire there, that's me on the fire escape. No. Column C, fireproof building. Okay, that's you. Fireproof buildings are made, the walls do not have any materials that will burn. The ceiling and floor, and especially in this building, are probably some type of poured concrete. And the walls are probably poured concrete as well, some type of rebar, cement block, okay? Okay, now, and the doors are made of metal, and they're self-closing, okay? So those are the key parts of a fireproof building. Concrete walls, floors, ceilings, or new construction, they get away with double sheetrock. I like this building better, right? Okay, poured concrete, self-closing metal door. Fireproof, not smoke-proof. Okay, we'll get to smoke in a second. Because it's fireproof, if you wake up, there's heavy smoke in the hall, maybe your detector's even going off, okay? What you do is, you stay in your apartment. You can call 911 if you feel nervous. You can call 911 if smoke is coming in from the bottom of the door, but also you want to throw maybe a wet towel at the base of the door. That's usually the biggest gap where smoke comes in. Stay in your apartment. If the fire's in your apartment, you should get out and close the door behind you. Make sure it closes behind you. Sometimes we leave a bag there or something falls, the umbrella stand. And because that construction I talked about, basically it's like an oven, like a brick oven. So it gets very, very hot inside that apartment, and that controls all the heat. But if you leave the door open, now we have a blowtorch effect coming down the hallway. Okay? The hallway is concrete, all the doors are metal, so now it's in the hallway looking for a place to go. And what happens at that time? Someone opens up the door to the stairwell, right? And you're in the floors above with smoke, and you said, I don't care what Captain Nancy said, I'm getting out of here. And you're coming down the staircase just when someone opens up that door. That staircase, especially if it's one of the enclosed ones, also concrete with metal doors, is now a chimney, and you're walking down a chimney with fire coming up. That is a bad place to be. I know it's very confusing when we see the elevators. What does it say? In case of fire, use the stairs, not the elevator. I say, in case of fire, stay in your apartment, unless the fire's in your apartment. Now, we'll go with let's say that's 97%. We'll talk about the 3%. Your home, someone pounds on your door and says, my kitchen is on fire, I was boiling lamb chops and I fell asleep, I didn't set a timer, right? And look, and you see down her doorway, there's smoke coming out, maybe she can open a crack. Well, now you know where the fire is. It's fire's in my apartment. Now you have a choice. We can either pull her in and close the door and ride it out, or say, good, let's get out of here, and you can get out and use the stairs instead of the elevator. But it's when you don't know what's going on, that's when it's better to stay, okay? Now the other 2%, 1% you could say, is if you're in the apartment directly above the fire apartment. There could be a bit of heat transfer, especially from window to window if the windows are left open and the wind is blowing just right. Quite a bit of smoke could permeate through every little radiator pipe crack, okay? Anywhere that, that you think you smell when they're cooking downstairs, that's where the smoke's gonna come up, okay? If that's the case, where it's untenable in your apartment, it's getting hot, there's some heavy smoke, and the hallway is better, you check the hallway and say, well, it's smoky here, but it's bad and I can't stay. Get out, and if you're not sure whether to go a stairway or not, go across the hall into a different line of apartments, pound on some doors, and just get into that other line of apartments. Okay? So I joke around saying you have to be friends with at least one person on your floor. Just one. Come on, you can do it. All right? So that's the idea. Okay? Now, obviously, if you check the stairwell, and like if this was a door, before you open any door, even your apartment door, check it with the back of your hand. If it was very, very hot, don't open it. Could be fire. There's fire and heat behind it. I say use the back of your hand, because if you use the front of your hand to grab a doorknob, now later on you might have to open another door or a window, and you have blistered up on your hand. A little blister on the back of the hand is better. You can still use this part of your hand. So we always say check the heat with the back of your hand. If you are trapped in your apartment, let's say the fire's in the kitchen, you're in the back bedroom, closed doors behind you, you can't get past it. If you can get past it, get down low, crawl, and get out. But it's going to get hot in there. Remember I said now, it's a brick oven in there. Close any doors you can behind you, and get to a window. And not the bathroom window. Okay? A lot of people feel, let me go to the bathroom because there's water in there. It's not the water, it's the smoke that's going to get you. And in the bathrooms, that's where all the pipe recesses are. So if there is any smoke travel at all from below or anywhere else, the bathroom is usually where it gets concentrated. And the bathroom window, I can see from here, it's about this wide. The other windows are this wide. Now, it'd be great if you put a pillowcase out the bathroom window, we'll see that you're there, but I don't know if we're going to be able to pry you out of that bathroom window. Whereas any other window, what we'll do is when there's a fire in this type of building, we go to the fire apartment, and we go to the apartment directly above, and the first thing they do is start setting up tie-off points. Say you're on the 11th floor, 11, let's scare her now, 11G. All right, we'll go up to 12G. We're going to tie off to a radiator, a big bed, anything we can, and have ropes ready. And if we say, oh, I think I see a hand sticking out the fire apartment, 11G, or someone's waving a pillowcase in the back bedroom, we'll line up the window, we have ropes, we go out the window, we go down one flight, big bear hug, we'll tell you instructions, you put your arms over here, wrap around, we slide you down one floor, and we go in the floor below. That's our rope rescue operation. We only probably do it 2 or 3 times a year. Yes?
I've been trying to write while you've been talking.
Okay.
This is a scenario, it's in your apartment.
In your apartment and you can't get out.
You try to contain, if it's in a particular room, you try to close those doors. And
Oh, if you could, if it's in the back bedroom and you can actually close the bedroom door, that's even better, but get out and make sure the metal door between the hallway and your apartment is closed. That's got to be the self-closing door. The metal self-closing door is your apartment door.
Right.
The interior doors, what I'm saying is, if it's in the kitchen or living room and you can't get past it, put as many doors inside your apartment, and even if they're wooden doors, between you and the fire.
And try to get to a window.
Try to get to a big window, pillowcase, yell fire, okay? But not the bathroom window, like I said. A lot of people feel, well, let me get to the bathroom, there's water, and, but that one is very
So
simple.
regarding the bathroom being a place where smoke's going to come up, that scenario was if the fire is below you.
Yes, yes. If there's smoke coming in, and I say, especially in the fireproof buildings, have duct tape. Duct tape is great. Do you guys have vents in the bathroom or in the kitchens? Any type of venting? No, that's good. Okay, but if there is an occasion where it's in the hallway, heavy smoke, sometimes just putting duct tape along the seams, the smoke's going to go the path of least resistance. So even just putting that little duct tape up and a wet towel at the base of the door, the smoke will mosey on down to the next crevice or crack it finds. In the back, yes? Good.
We just left, really in such a daze, and I was wondering if you could just share, I guess, a go bag or something that we should have to grab that, would make sense in these.
Well, in that scenario, you shouldn't have left. You should have stayed. Now you know. See, now you know. So if I tell you to have a go bag, I'm going to be giving you a mixed message. It is good to have a go bag because there may be a reason why you have to evacuate the building. It could be an uncontrollable gas leak. There may be a fire in a building, and on a hot, humid day, maybe the carbon monoxide, okay, is not lifting, and there's heavy levels on the floors above. We might tell everyone, listen, get out. And then you don't say, no, I was told to stay. No, now we're telling you, you stay in the apartment until told otherwise. And please don't call down to the poor guy at the lobby. He doesn't have the training. And even if I pulled up here as the first 2 officer, I wouldn't know what to tell you yet. First, I have to find out where's the fire. Do we have control of the fire department door? Is there anyone trapped? Okay, is there anyone trapped on the floor above? Where are the standpipes? Is it this A wing, B wing? What staircase are we going to use to attack the fire? Because we're going to be opening up that door now and contaminating that stairwell. So I couldn't even, if you called up just as I walked in, and, oh, Captain Anderson, you're here, good, what do I do? I'd say, listen, I don't know yet. I don't know yet.
I'm talking about, yeah, I guess what you're saying, I'm talking about when one does need to flee one department from a fire, what is good to have at the ready.
What, I mean, medicines, phone numbers written down on a piece of paper, because if you lose your cell phone, I don't know anyone's number anymore. I know mom, sis, right? I don't know their numbers. All the important numbers, stuff like that, taken down. A set of keys, you know, common sense stuff. But like I said, if it's in your apartment, get out. Don't stop for a bag or anything. If it's not in your apartment, stay unless it's that one time where it's right directly below you and it almost feels like the fire's in your apartment, okay? But I think NewYorkCity.gov/GoBag, they have all stuff like that, like wind up, like these flashlights I handed out. Did everybody get a flashlight, by the way? If you didn't, I'm giving out flashlights. Maybe I should call it a flashlight. It's a keychain. But it works, and then, listen, when it's pitch black, this works great. Okay, so I have plenty of them up here. Yes, in the back?
Mine's in direct line of the fire.
Okay.
And having gone every year or co-op, sends out this notice what to do, you know.
Yeah.
I stayed in that apartment throughout.
Okay.
Did all that with the towels.
Okay.
And, you know, without going away. And all the doors were closed. So I moved to the back room. And to my neighbor, I'm hearing help. So what has happened now, I opened up my big bedroom window and the smoke moved in the direction that
Right.
the wind was going.
Right. And it blew the smoke in? It blew the smoke into your apartment?
Blew the smoke. And
Yeah.
I have experienced,
Yeah.
despite the fact that I've stayed, disorientation.
Oh,
And
of course.
I was building up CO2 in my bedroom.
Right. So,
But I stayed throughout.
right.
Until,
And a lot of the injuries we get when people, especially a big building like this, have nothing to do with the fire or smoke. It's people panicking, falling down the steps, you know, trying to carry things, and you're out with a cane and you take a tumble. And it has nothing to do with fire or smoke. But when it comes to windows, get to a window if you're trapped in there. But if you think there's smoke in the hall, open a window a little bit. It's all about negative and positive pressure with the wind flow. You could open up the window and it could get clearer. You could open the window and you might even pull more smoke from the hallway, or smoke could come from outside. So you open it and you see, and it could change. Just because you open the window, oh, it got a little bit better. The wind could change in a minute and now it's blowing back at you. So you have to monitor that window very carefully.
it was the call for help from
That's right.
as a support of someone.
Of course, yeah.
You know, don't know.
Right, don't jump, don't whatever, right. Yeah. And she ended up being fine also?
Oh yes, until everything was clear.
And do we know what was the cause of the fire? We don't know. I don't know. I'm sure it was either electrical candle or cooking. That's usually, or smoking in bed. Number one cause of fatal fires is smoking. Why? Because when there's a smoking fire, it's usually your lining. You know what I mean? You fall asleep smoking and the fire is all around you. So those become the most, even though they're not the most common fire, they usually cause the most fatalities, is the smoking fire. So, yeah, I'm not sure what the cause of the fire was. I'm sure there's a lot of damage in the fire department itself. Maybe some smoke and water damage in the line and the floor below. But for the most part, did the fire travel from one apartment to the other? Pretty much stayed in the one apartment.
And it was intense. It was
Right.
amazing to see
Because it's an oven.
the intensity of
Yeah.
the fire, and still
Yeah.
it didn't go up or down or
Right,
side to side. I just had a
Yes.
question, because we're on the first floor, so we always figure we're just out the door, you know?
You have that option, yes.
Maybe. But we noticed all the firefighters going up the elevator when they came to fight the fire. We were confused by that.
You can, depending on where the fire is. Was the fire on the 8th or 9th or 10th floor? 12th, so that's why they took the elevators. I remember from studying, you can take the stairway to 7, which means the fire has to be on 8 or 9. So you take the stairway up, if the fire's on the 7th floor, you have to take the stairway. Okay? Anything above 7, we can take the elevator. Because we'll have no energy left carrying up all those tools. Below 7, it's a risk reward. We don't want to use the elevators. Things go bad. I've been to fires where the first 2 engine, they all get in, and now they're stuck between the 3rd and 4th floor. And there's a fire going, and they're stuck in the elevator. Imagine that. So we'd rather take the stairs, but we have to measure the endurance. So going up 12 flights, we might not have much left to actually knock the door down and advance the hose line. So, 1 second, yes.
Actually, the question going back to something you talked about.
Okay.
Which I can hold it till later. If you
No, go ahead.
Okay, it's regarding the stairwell and what
Yes.
you mentioned about basically creating a backdraft situation by opening the door.
Not so much a backdraft, but you're creating a flue.
Right, which would
Right.
lead flames, but
Right.
so would you be able to accurately measure if you're touching the stairwell door with the back of your hand, if it's
no.
not hot, you just
Because
open
you
the door.
could enter it on 14 and it could be clear as a bell.
Right.
Now you're 13, 12, someone opens up that door, boom.
Okay, so you're not gonna feel heat if you're on the 12th floor.
You may, if someone has already opened the door, that'll be a sign that it's already a chimney.
Right.
But to check it and say, it looks good, just know that.
Someone could open the door.
Right, and so don't fight it and try to keep going down, jump back into the hallway and get that middle door between you and the hallway. That's if you decided to leave.
Okay. So if that's
Just
your
know what's
idea
going on.
against trying to take a stairwell all the way
You
down.
should not take the stairwell down, you should stay in your apartment. Stay in your apartment.
So you're saying that because our apartments are fireproof, because when
Yes.
I work, we do the fire drills, and I did.
That's an
exactly
office
what
building.
Yeah, and he said, take the stairs down, and
Yes.
that's what I did.
Yes.
So it's because we are fireproof, that's why you're telling us to stay.
Stay in your apartment, yes.
If it wasn't.
Office buildings are big, open, it looks like it's all closed off, but all the plenums are open. Office buildings are a different animal. That's why you do the drills. You get out, sometimes you get out to a sky lobby floor or all the way down. They want that evacuation. Here in this building, which is good, like I said, we can talk just about this building. There's a fireproof building. If the fire's not in your apartment, you should stay in your apartment, okay? And don't call down to you can call down to the lobby and say there's heavy smoke in the apartment, but don't expect him to tell you what to do.
So could you be called?
911.
That, and 911 dispatcher will be able to say, in your building, if I'm what I know is going on now, you should do this.
Right, just say I'm in an apartment, whatever, there's heavy smoke in the hallway, they'll have the address, they may already know by then, say, oh yeah, the fire's on the 3rd floor, we're on the scene, and stay in your apartment, okay? So even if it was a non-fireproof building with a fire escape, I'm telling you, that building you gotta get out, no matter where the fire is, but if you open up the door to the hallway, and there's heavy fire in the hall, and then you go down the fire escape, and the fire's below you, you're in a bad spot. Then you're doing the same thing. You're sheltering in place, but the bad thing with that building is the fire's coming up through the walls, through the floors, it's traveling, okay? So that's very dangerous. So these type of buildings are the safer buildings to live in the city, the fireproof buildings. The renovated brownstone, while very beautiful, has wooden staircases, a lot of openings. The tenements, any building with a fire escape, and the private dwellings are even worse. It's 2x4 construction, and usually it's the handyman that ran the wiring. So then you have even more problems. And it's the homeowner that's maintaining the heating system, not professionals. So it's up to the homeowner. That's where we get the bad fires in the private dwellings, a lot of fatalities. So, yes.
So you said, okay, we're all going to stay in our apartments unless
Right.
instructed otherwise. How would those instructions come? Because I think mostly a lot of us
Right.
we left the apartment because
You wanted to get out.
Yeah, we wanted to get out.
Right.
And we didn't know we were supposed to stay in our apartments, and there was no channel of
Right.
communication
Okay.
for everybody. So now we have.
So now you know,
to stay.
that's better to
Right.
stay. And if you feel, you know what, this is getting bad, there's like heat in that hallway, the smoke is really pumping into my apartment, I don't feel comfortable. You dial 911, will give us the apartment, and the next instructions you'll receive are gonna come with a pound on your door, and the firefighter's gonna say, either
Okay.
come in, what's going on, we'll tell you what's going on, maybe we'll put the fire out. Everyone who called before we leave, the chief has a checklist from the dispatcher. Everyone who called, we check on every apartment who called. Okay, to make sure you're all right, you need oxygen, you need help, do you want to leave, do you want to stay, whatever it is.
Okay, because also there were people who were in other sections of the building who didn't know anything about it until the next day.
Right.
Who slept through the whole thing.
Right.
So in a case where.
Which is exactly what I want to happen.
Right, okay. But
Honestly,
in a case.
we don't need 500 people in the lobby. But we like, sometimes we like a bit of an audience. But, 2 in the morning, stay in bed, and we believe me, I've been to fires where we put the fire out and we're taking up the hose in the hallway, and someone peeks out the door next door, hey, what's going on? We've been there for an hour and a half, we put a fire, they had no idea. No idea there was a fire, no idea what was going on. Okay? And that's what we want, because that's what these buildings can provide. Is especially to the side and down, you might get some water damage below. In the staircases, you're going to get some water damage. You'll get smoke a little bit above, and usually it's that apartment right above that gets the most heat transfer and smoke. Other than that, you stay right where you are. I mean, we just had a fatality there at the Strand building, right? There were 2 gentlemen, they were like 10 floors above the fire. They didn't know what to do, they came down, they got caught in the stairwell. Exactly what I said happened. Someone opened up the stairwell door.
It's in the city, right?
Yeah.
42nd Street.
Yeah. And died in the staircase of the apartment, was fine, not a lick of smoke, no fire damage.
Started from a power street.
There should be the sticker on the back of everyone's door, a sticker or a notice that you all receive every January or every Fire Prevention Month. You should be getting it in your packet with a child guard notice that you all sign and nobody reads. Right? And the instructions are there. You live in a fireproof building, am I correct?
Right.
You live in a fireproof building, in the common area, there should be a similar type notice where the exits are. Is there a sprinkler system, is there not? Is there an alarm system, is there not? All that information is to be posted and given to you once a year. Okay? And everything I said pretty much should be pretty close to in that packet. Okay? Yes.
It's true that you should. Someone, I think actually a fireman saying that you should sleep with all the doors closed in your apartment. Like in every bedroom and every door should.
You can. This way, it will. If there is a fire, it'll compartmentalize the fire. So if it's in the living room, at least all the bedrooms are protected. I have younger kids at home, I sleep with the door open, with the baby crying, this and that, I want to be able to hear them. And especially if it's only have one smoke detector in the hallway, the door is closed, you fell asleep with the TV on, the AC is going, are you going to hear the detector? Maybe yes, maybe no. We like that maybes, we don't like maybes. So, you sleeping with the door closed, it will, just like the metal doors here, they're all self-closing metal doors, that's the big feature with the fireproof concrete and the metal doors that close. I went up to the 2nd floor, you had those double doors. And I know there's someone maybe, let's open them up, and no good, they have to be closed, those are smoke doors. Okay, again, because the building is so big, they had to check, back in the code was they had to compartmentalize the building because the square footage was so big that they used smoke doors, metal doors, they divided it up into sections. So it's like 2 different sections here, 2 different sections there. Multiple stairwells. So, this is, by the way, a very beautiful building. I don't have to tell you that, but very, very nice. But all these features are to the code back then. This building is probably overbuilt. Okay, I think back then materials were so cheap. It's like, well, should we go 2 inches? Make it 6. Who cares? It's 2 cents a board, but who cares? Load it up. So these buildings are actually overbuilt. So feel very safe living here. I do a lot of senior centers, and I feel terrible for the seniors. I talk to them what type of building you live in, and they say, oh, the 3-story tenement with the fire escape, and I'm on the 3rd floor. And I'm like, oh my goodness. If there's a fire, what are you going to do? Or they live in a private dwelling, and they got the attic apartment. I try to tell them, if you can move to a fireproof building. That's where I moved my mother. She was in a 2.5-story frame in Woodside. We all moved out. And we moved her, she's now in a fireproof building, not as nice as this, a newer type fireproof building, but it's fireproof. And I tell her, if there's a fire, and she just had a fire like 2 weeks ago, 2 floors above her, stay in the apartment. And it's great, she's 83, she doesn't get around so good, her hearing's not so good. But what better plan is that? Is your plan is to stay where you are. I like that plan. Right? So that's the building you're in. Yes?
Is there anything that we should have in an apartment for the possible smoke inhalation? Just like how you have a fire extinguisher for fire.
Right. Yeah, some people, usually, I mean, you could put a wet cloth if it's a little irritant. But the really only other thing you could do is if you almost had like a homemade, not a homemade, like a scuba gear for oxygen. Because what happens with the smoke is even though you filter it out, if the fire's bad enough, it's burning up the oxygen. So it's lack of oxygen. So you might be filtering out the smoke particles, but there's not enough oxygen. And there's other toxins and carbon monoxide that you're breathing in. So that's the problem with the smoke. Yes,
I think you said earlier, I don't know if everyone was here yet, that the smoke detectors now expire, but do the fire extinguishers also?
Yes, they last about 10 years. I was donated this. I'm going to take it home with me. No, I'm only kidding. So they say, how old is it? They all either have a 2-digit number. This actually has the full year, 2013, and it's stamped or embossed. It's not like a sticker. It's, branded or embossed with the date, okay? Most of them last 10 years. There's no maintenance to them, but once you use this this extinguisher, it's no longer, it'll last for another month or two, but once you pierce it, you're letting a little bit of air in. Once you let air in, you let moisture in, and the powder, this is a powder, could cake up. So they're usually single use. So you can't look at it and say, well, it's in the green. No, it's just, I used it last 6 months ago. It's just out of the green. I think it's good. It may or may not be good, but it could cake up. And the only maintenance I would do is every once in a while, give it a shake, a couple of bangs. Because again, it's powder, so you don't want to cake it up. That's it. That's all you have to do. And where should this be located? On your way out, okay? So let's say this was the room, we wouldn't put it in the corner there because there's no exit there. You would have it here, this is the staircase. We have it, this is the exit, so we would have it here. It's on our way out the door. And you want the back, your back, facing the exit, okay, as you're using this. Usually there's a pin, okay? You don't know where the pin is, you gotta be careful, you don't tap it. Pull the pin. Very simple. Aim. The acronym is PASS, P-A-S-S. Pull the pin, aim, squeeze the trigger, and you're aiming at the base of the fire. So if there's an area of fire here, you don't aim it at the middle of the flames. You aim at the base, and then you go side to side on the way up. Now, if you are going to use this, if the fire is of any size that you feel this needs an extinguisher, the first thing you do is call 911. Get us going to the fire. Because if you don't know how to pull the pin, if you end up, blowing it all over the place or dropping it, or the fire gets worse, at least we're on the way, okay? And you always want us there to check it out because you don't know if it might have got in behind a wall of some sort, and we won't come in and break all the walls down anymore. We don't get to do that anymore. We have cameras now that can look into the walls.
Are you sure?
Well, it depends on the time of day,
I can show you
the
some
kids are
pictures.
driving.
Now you tell
The only reason we pull it down is because we did see some heat source. We saw heat behind the cabinet, we got to pull the cabinet down. We can't leave it, we see heat. Okay, so that's why we opened it up. So, we did a good demo job on the
Oh, yeah,
apartment.
nice job.
Excellent. Listen, we're going to do it right. Okay, save you a little time and energy there. Right?
So you have,
Yes.
where's,
Hold on one second, yes.
where's the best place to keep a fire extinguisher?
Okay, think about it. If there is a fire, you're going to have smoke and heat rising. So should you have it on the top cabinet above the stove? No, because if there is a fire, right? So we want to have it down low in the last cabinet leading out of the kitchen. That's a good place to have it. Down low on your way out. Because if there's smoke, you can get down low and grab it. You don't want to have to reach up and grab it. Yes?
What about on the floor near the fire stairwell, the door to the fire stairwell?
You want to have an extinguisher there?
I'm asking.
Yeah, I guess you could. It's more for inside your apartment. Once you've gone that far, if you made it to the fire stairwell.
No, it's in my apartment.
Oh, okay, you
I
have.
have a door that goes into the.
That's a good idea. Exactly. On your way out. On your way out. Usually in a commercial setting, you want it at eye level with the sticker, fire extinguisher here. This way, if you're not familiar with the room, you could scan the room and say, oh, there's the sign, there's the fire extinguisher. But a residential setting, you're going to place it where you want, but down low is better.
Do I buy some sort of a bracket that I fix to the wall?
They all come with a bracket. You can put it on the bracket or you can leave it on the floor. It's your personal one, so you're going to know where it is. But lower is better. A lot of times people say you have it in the cabinet above the stove, but then if there's a kitchen fire, they can't get to it. That's the point. And when it comes to fire extinguishers, Use them, don't use them, call 911. Okay? Some people fall in love with using the fire extinguisher and listen, you can get out, get out. Just close the door behind you, metal close the door behind you. Let us take care of it. Okay? Yes, in the back. A fire extinguisher? It's like detectors. You can have one in every room, really, if you want. It's up to you. It's totally up to you. Hang it, put it wherever you want. I'm just saying down low is better, not anything up high. Okay? So it's really a personal choice. Okay? I know we went through a lot of information. Okay? We're halfway there. No, I'm only kidding. Does anyone else have any more questions?
Do you recommend that type of fire extinguisher?
This is a good one. When you get one, you want to get an ABC for electrical, whatever. The other one I talked about is a white one. What's different about the white one is it's baking soda. It's for a stovetop. It's good for grease fires. This, see how thin the nozzle is? It comes out with quite a bit of pressure. So if you use this on the stovetop, it might just blast the grease right out of the pan. The other one has a wider baffle. It's like a puff of baking soda coming out, the white one. So maybe use the white one for the kitchen and use this one for anything else.
What's inside there?
It's a chemical, a silicate. I don't know the chemical, but it basically, it interrupts the fire triangle chemically. Okay? She got me.
No, is it any better for a non-grease fire than?
Yeah, this is made for the 3 types of fire: electrical fire, liquid fires, and any other type of solid. Okay, so it'll work on all 3 types of fire.
In a pinch, if you only have the white one, you just use it.
You can use a white one, yes. Yes.
And you said it's called
ABC. ABC.
Pat, so if you have let's say you're not in your house, there's a fire beneath your apartment, should you have something affixed to your door that says there's an animal in this apartment dog?
The best place to put it, let's say this is the doorway. I'm in the hall. This is your apartment. I don't need anything here. If there is a fire, I'm going to be down low. So just when I come in, okay, you can either put it down low here on the inside of your door or the inside of the hole here, because this is the area we're coming in. We're going to be down low. So having a sticker here that I have a dog, no good. Okay? And we really only save dogs, cats. Nobody likes cats. So. I'm only kidding. We'll say birds, everybody. That was a joke. That was a bad joke. I'm only kidding. But put that down there, and the good thing is smoke rises, so where the pets usually down low. Okay? Yes?
I was just thinking about that fire that we had here. It seemed like the fire's coming out the window and going up into the apartment above. How dangerous, and what should you do?
That's called auto exposure. That's what we talked about.
Yeah, so what should you do if you're right above the fire and you see the flames coming up?
Like I said, that's stay in your apartment unless, what I said, 97%. That's like the 2% where you're in that apartment right above. Consider the fire now in your apartment and get out and follow the same things. And if you're not sure about stairwells and smoke contamination, that's when I said, remember, make a friend with one person on your floor, get to their apartment, get out of the line, whether across the hall or whatever it may be. Make sure the door is closed behind you. But that's where, stay in your apartment except for that one spot. And just know we are coming to that apartment. Like I said, that's the first place we go, the fire apartment and the floor above, because we're setting up our ropes. So if you do feel you're trapped there, know that, wow, I'm right above this fire and I'm losing, I don't even know where I am. We do go to that apartment right away. So
you know that this is a really big building, and
oh yeah,
there are different stairwells.
Yes.
So if in my apartment I see that the fire's coming up from below me in the living room, I know that in my kitchen, which is way on the other side of the apartment, there's a stairwell.
Yeah, so you can. So you know your building. Like I said, you know where the fire is. All right, it's right below me. Now, with all that information, you're doing a calculation, a risk reward. If I get to the other side, I see that it's right here. If I get to the other side, you know what? One floor, and it's over here. I'm going to go for it. But you have that information. Okay? It's like I said. Someone bangs on your door. The fire's right there in my apartment. Stay or don't stay. If you want, get out. You know where the fire is, you can get out and use the staircase. That scenario, you kind of had a lead on where the fire was. Oh, it's right there. Down at the end of the hall, I have a kitchen with a stairwell. You know what, let me check the door, open it, it's not too bad, and go down, okay? But you just made a decision, you had put 2 and 2 together, and you were able to make the decision. Because you're knowing now what type of building you're in and how the fire's gonna react. So, you know, you could make that choice, okay? All right? Any more questions? Yes?
Just one last thing, like I was thinking, you know, you said, we should have fire drills. You know, it's like schools have fire drills or not.
Well, like I said, here it's more.
This day. Right, so for people with small kids or whatever, we should
Right.
tell them, in event of a fire, stay in the apartment, call 911.
Yes.
If whatever.
And I'm just clarifying in our apartment, right? Like, because you don't, school's different. There's different buildings, they're
Right.
different.
Right.
So
Right.
this is our fire drill,
Right.
the fire drill.
Right.
If it's in the apartment, we get out, make sure we close the door. You should have a meeting place here because it's fireproof, you can make the meeting place the lobby. So let's say you run out for a gallon of milk, you come back, there's smoke in the building, whatever. You check, the kids aren't in the apartment, you're freaking out, where's your meeting place? They left and they went to the meeting place. You should pick a meeting place, just like the kids do a fire drill, they go to the same corner. Tell the kids, adults, everyone you live with, if for whatever chaotic reason we got out, we got separated, who knows why, where's our meeting place? Where are we gonna go to meet up? And you have to have a meeting place, and they have to stick to it, okay? All right, so is everyone thoroughly scared enough now? I did my job.
Thank you.
Outlet covers, are those important fire?
Yeah, they're good, especially if you have young kids. You know, they don't want sticking keys or anything in there that causes spark and damage and electrocution. So you have to be careful. Yeah. It's like lemony snickets, right? A series of unfortunate events.
And I think the important thing is about smelling a gas leak. I'm just thinking of that.
If you think you smell gas, call 911. Okay? And if you come home and you smell gas, and it seems like every day you smell it, and after 5 minutes it goes away, it didn't go away. Gas has recaptured in it. They add it. Natural gas has no smell. They add that rotten egg smell, but your nose becomes desensitized to it after like 5 to 10 minutes. So you think it went away, but it didn't. So if every time you come home from the fresh air, you think you smell gas, you probably have an old stove with a burnt out pilot light, or the person next door to you or below you or something like that. But if it's, every time you come home, it's a low-level gas smell and it goes away, you probably have a small leak behind your stove.
So call 911.
Call 911, okay? When in doubt, call 911. You want to call Con Ed and have them come look at it, that's fine. We'll come and we'll just turn the gas off, and then Con Ed will come anyway.
National Grid.
National Grid. I'm old school with Con Ed, right?
No.
No?
I'm just curious, is the building
Brooklyn Union.
gas for gas leaks or anything like that? Do you guys do that?
No, we have no way of checking. Just, if you smell gas.
Your nose is the best indicator, trust it.
We've had incidents where someone's complained they smell gas in the hallway, and yes, we run it down, and then if we know where it is, we'll call Con Ed or 911.
But just know that with gas, if you're smelling it every day, it's not good for you. It start giving you headaches, right? People say, that's what's causing it. It's not my kids, it's the gas.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.